Imagine for a moment the announcement is made, and your numbers are called. You feel the rush, the disbelief, and then the undeniable truth: you are the winner. Wealth has come into your hands, but let me tell you, what comes next is far greater than the numbers on a check. Money in itself carries no wisdom, no direction, no intention. It simply magnifies the state of the one who holds it. If you were fearful before, fear will expand. If you lived in scarcity, you will feel scarcity even in abundance. But if you carry vision, imagination, and clarity of purpose, then wealth will serve you instead of enslave you. The lottery does not create your future. It only exposes the one you have been building in your inner world. For every fortune that appears overnight, there is an unseen foundation in the mind that determines whether that fortune will multiply or dissolve. You must not see this as a chance event, but as a mirror of your state of being. You attracted it, you called it forth, whether consciously or unconsciously, and now the greater responsibility lies before you. Not to spend, but to create. Not to show the world, but to shape your world. What is next is not the car, the house, or the applause of people. What is next is the transformation of your inner self to match the magnitude of what you now hold. This is the moment where you must discipline your thoughts, enlarge your vision, and align your wealth with purpose. Remember, the greatest lottery is not in the bank account. It is in the awareness of who you are. If you can govern your inner world, the outer wealth will never leave you. If you can see yourself as the source, not the prize, then every dollar will become a servant to your destiny. So yes, you won the lottery, but now you must win the greater prize, the mastery of self. For only then will the wealth in your hand become wealth that lasts. Wealth begins in the mind before it appears in the hand, because everything you experience in your external world is first born as a thought, an image, or a belief within you. The greatest illusion many people carry is that money alone is the source of wealth. But the truth is, money is only a symbol, an expression of a deeper consciousness. A person with a poor mindset can inherit millions and lose it within years, while another with a prosperous mindset can start with little and create abundance that never runs dry. The difference is not what they hold in their hands, but what they carry in their minds. The mind is the soil, and wealth is the harvest. If you plant seeds of scarcity, fear, and limitation, no matter how much money comes your way, it will soon be consumed by those very beliefs. But if you cultivate thoughts of abundance, possibility, and wisdom, then even the smallest opportunities will multiply in your life. Money flows to the consciousness that knows how to use it, protect it, and expand it. The mistake many make is chasing after wealth with no change in the inner self, believing that once the outer prize is obtained, the inner state will change. Yet it never works that way. If the inner world is not renewed, the outer gain slips through the fingers like sand. Consider why so many who suddenly win fortunes end up in ruin within years. It is not because money abandoned them, but because they had no inner structure to hold it. They were like a man given a palace, without the knowledge of how to maintain it. The palace crumbles, not because it was cursed, but because he never learned how to care for it. Wealth is not simply having money, it is the ability to multiply, to sustain, and to enjoy it with purpose. That ability is born in the mind. The wealthy person is not one who has money, but one who has vision. Vision is the ability to see beyond the present, to imagine a future, and to organize resources toward that end. If you cannot see beyond your immediate desires, money will only enslave you to them. But if your mind can picture a larger destiny, then money becomes your servant in building it. This is why training the mind is the first work of true wealth. Discipline in thought creates discipline in finances. A generous spirit attracts more opportunities. A wise imagination creates new doors that others cannot see. True wealth is not an accident, it is a manifestation. It arises from what you repeatedly meditate on, the way you perceive yourself, and the habits of thought you practice daily. If in your mind you are poor, unworthy, or incapable, you will sabotage every chance at abundance, even if fortune comes knocking. But if you know yourself as abundant, creative, and capable, You will find that opportunities align with that belief, and resources flow to you almost naturally. Wealth in the hand without wealth in the mind is temporary, but wealth in the mind will eventually call forth wealth into the hand. Your outer life can rise only to the level of your inner life. This is why you must never despise the days when you are building in thought, in imagination, in vision. For those unseen labors of the mind are shaping the very reality you will soon hold. To be truly rich, you must first think richly. To enjoy abundance, you must first see yourself as abundant. Money may come and go, but the consciousness of wealth, once cultivated, will create it again and again. Winning the lottery does not change who you are. It only amplifies what already exists within you. Many believe that sudden wealth will transform their lives, that money itself has the power to make them into new people. But money is not a creator of character. It is only a magnifier of character. It reveals in clearer form the truth of what already resides within a person's heart and mind. If one was generous before, wealth only makes that generosity more visible. If one was careless before, riches only multiply the carelessness. What you truly are does not shift when money comes. It simply becomes harder to hide. Money, by its very nature, does not bring wisdom, discipline, or direction. It cannot give you the values or habits that shape a meaningful life. If those things are not already within you, then no amount of money will implant them. Instead, sudden abundance exposes what was hidden. The spender becomes a reckless spender. The fearful become more anxious about losing what they have. The arrogant become louder in their arrogance. The visionary uses the wealth to create, build, and expand. This is why so many who receive sudden fortunes lose them in a short span of time. It is not because money abandoned them, but because their inner life was not prepared to sustain it. Money is like a mirror that reflects back to you the state of your inner being. If your reflection was distorted before, the wealth only makes the image larger. It is not the lottery that ruins or blesses a life, but the inner condition of the one who receives it. You do not suddenly become a new person with a different identity just because your bank account has changed. You carry the same mind, the same habits, the same beliefs, and those elements will either preserve or destroy the wealth. The truth is, wealth does not make you powerful if you were weak before. It does not make you wise if you lacked understanding before. And it does not make you purposeful if you lived aimlessly before. It only amplifies the very state you have lived in all along. This is why true preparation for abundance is not found in waiting for money, but in cultivating the inner qualities that allow wealth to serve its highest purpose. Self-discipline, vision, generosity, wisdom. These are the treasures that must exist within you long before fortune arrives. When people say money changes people, they are often mistaken. What money does is unmask them. It brings to the surface the very traits that poverty or lack may have concealed. Without wealth, a selfish man may appear ordinary, but with wealth, his selfishness becomes undeniable. Without riches, a generous woman may have only little to give, but with abundance, her generosity floods and touches lives beyond her reach. The essence of the person remains the same, it is only magnified. This is why it is dangerous to desire sudden riches without inner preparation. To demand wealth without cultivating wisdom is to demand destruction. To crave abundance without responsibility is to invite chaos. The question is never whether you can win the lottery or attract sudden gain. The question is whether your inner self is strong enough to handle it. If your inner world is small, the outer wealth will eventually shrink to match it. But if your inner world is expansive, disciplined, and rooted in purpose, no amount of money can destroy you. Instead, it will multiply through you. So remember, the lottery is not a transformation, it is a revelation. It does not change who you are. It only makes more visible the person you have always been. Therefore, the real work is not in chasing sudden fortune, but in shaping yourself into the kind of person who can carry it with wisdom. For once the inner self is built, any wealth that comes will only amplify light, not darkness. Your imagination shapes how far your wealth will carry you, because imagination is the invisible architect of every visible reality. Money itself does not contain vision, purpose, or direction. It lies in your hands as potential, but what that potential becomes depends entirely on the pictures you create in your mind. Two people can receive the same amount of wealth, yet one squanders it and ends in ruin, while the other multiplies it and builds a legacy that lasts for generations. The difference is not the money, but the imagination guiding it. Imagination is the ability to see beyond what is in front of you. It is the gift that allows you to project into the future, to dream of possibilities, and to design a path that money alone could never create. Without imagination, wealth becomes temporary satisfaction, spent on possessions that fade, experiences that pass, and desires that never end. But with imagination, wealth becomes a tool of creation, expansion, and purpose. Your mind sets the boundaries for how far your wealth will go. If your imagination is small, your wealth will be small, no matter how large the number in your account. If your imagination is vast, your wealth will grow to match it, because money always follows vision. Consider this: someone with no vision will spend their wealth only on themselves, feeding desires with no end. Eventually, the money runs dry because the imagination never reached beyond personal gratification. Yet another person, filled with vision, sees wealth as an opportunity to build businesses, create solutions, or bless communities. Their wealth carries them far, because it was not confined by selfish imagination, but expanded by creative purpose. Imagination has no limits, but it will set the limits for what your wealth can accomplish. Your imagination is also the shield that protects wealth. Many people fear losing money, but fear itself is an image of loss. If you constantly picture ruin, you unconsciously direct your actions toward it. The mind is powerful, and wealth always follows the path you imagine. But if you carry an image of expansion, of growth, of multiplication, then your actions align with that picture, and wealth follows. This is why imagination must be trained, not left to chance. A wandering mind will scatter wealth, but a focused imagination will channel it into lasting results. Wealth that is guided by imagination outlives the moment. It becomes more than numbers, it becomes influence, impact, and legacy. Think of the great builders, creators, and leaders of history. They were not driven merely by money, but by imagination. Money became the servant of their vision. Without imagination, money enslaves you, but with imagination, money serves you. It is also important to understand that imagination not only shapes wealth, but attracts it. When your inner vision is clear and powerful, opportunities seem to appear to match it. You begin to see doors others overlook, and resources align with the picture you carry within. This is why some people seem to continually increase in wealth while others, even with more resources, lose what they have. The wealth is not in the hand first, it is in the image carried within the mind. So the true secret is this: if you want your wealth to carry you far, first expand your imagination. Dare to see beyond survival, beyond indulgence, beyond the moment. Imagine creation, contribution, and multiplication. Imagine yourself not just spending wealth, but directing it like a river that nourishes everything in its path. As your imagination expands, so will your wealth. Money without imagination will always shrink. Imagination without money will always create. But when imagination and money come together, there is no limit to how far you can go. That is why your imagination is the true measure of your wealth, for it is the mind that determines the destiny of every dollar. Without a renewed consciousness, sudden riches can vanish as quickly as they arrive, because money alone does not carry the power to preserve itself. Wealth is not sustained by the size of a bank account, but by the state of the mind that governs it. If a person receives riches without first renewing their way of thinking, their habits, and their vision, the money will soon find a way out of their hands. History and countless stories prove this truth. Those who stumble upon sudden fortune often return to the same condition they were in before, sometimes worse, because their inner life was never transformed to handle the outer change. Consciousness is the soil into which wealth is planted. If the soil is poor, no matter how many seeds you scatter, the harvest will not last. In the same way, if a person carries old beliefs of scarcity, fear, or carelessness, sudden riches cannot grow. They may appear impressive for a moment, but they wither because the inner ground cannot sustain them. Without renewed consciousness, the habits that kept someone poor will still be present when they are rich. Those habits, magnified by greater resources, lead to the same outcome: loss. Think of someone who wins a lottery or inherits a fortune but has never learned discipline. They may purchase cars, houses, luxuries, and temporary pleasures, but because their mind has not been trained to build, to invest, or to sustain, they soon face emptiness. The riches that seemed like freedom become a chain of debt and regret. Another, who receives less money but with a renewed consciousness, can multiply it, sustain it, and even expand it for generations. The difference lies not in the amount received, but in the consciousness managing it. Renewed consciousness means breaking free from the patterns of thought that belong to lack and limitation. It means learning to see money not as something to be consumed, but as a tool to create and expand. It means replacing fear of loss with vision for growth. It means developing discipline that ensures wealth does not control you, but serves your purpose. Without this renewal, sudden riches can blind you, making you believe you are secure when in truth, your foundation is fragile. Wealth exposes who you are at the deepest level. If you carry insecurity, it will grow with money. If you carry arrogance, it will swell with power. But if you carry wisdom, generosity, and vision, those too will expand. Renewal of consciousness is therefore the first work of true wealth. It is building an inner structure strong enough to carry outer abundance. Just as a tall building requires a deep foundation, great riches require a mind that has been renewed to handle them. Without that renewal, the building collapses, no matter how beautiful it once appeared. It is a mistake to think that sudden gain solves life's problems. In reality, it often multiplies them if the mind is not prepared. That is why so many, after receiving fortunes, confess that they were happier before. They believed money would change everything, but because they themselves had not changed, their problems only grew louder under the weight of abundance. Sudden riches demand greater responsibility, and without a new consciousness, that responsibility feels like a burden too heavy to bear. True preparation for wealth is not waiting for money, but renewing your mind daily. It is creating new habits of discipline, envisioning a life of purpose, and training yourself to see opportunities where others see obstacles. It is learning to master your desires rather than be enslaved by them. Only then can riches, sudden or gradual, remain and multiply. Without that renewal, they come and go like the wind. So remember this truth: money in your hand is temporary, but consciousness in your mind is eternal. If you build the latter, the former will always find its way to you. But if you neglect the renewal of your inner self, even the greatest fortune will slip away. The only way to make wealth last is to first renew the consciousness that sustains it. True abundance flows when you align money with purpose, because money in itself carries no meaning until it is directed by intention. Wealth without purpose is like water spilled on dry ground. It disappears quickly, leaving nothing behind. But when money is aligned with a clear vision, a higher aim, and a sense of contribution, it multiplies and creates lasting impact. Many people believe abundance is measured by how much they accumulate. But real abundance is measured by how much of your wealth is connected to something greater than yourself. When purpose guides money, it becomes more than numbers. It becomes a channel for growth, fulfillment, and legacy. Purpose gives wealth direction. Without purpose, money is spent on passing desires, possessions that fade, luxuries that lose their shine, and indulgences that leave emptiness once the thrill is gone. This kind of wealth is shallow and temporary. But when purpose is present, money becomes a servant to destiny. It builds, it creates, it blesses, and it endures. A person may not always recognize this truth, but wealth that is tied to nothing higher than self-interest soon drains away, leaving dissatisfaction in its place. Purpose is the anchor that keeps abundance from drifting. True abundance is never selfish. It flows outward as much as inward. When your money aligns with purpose, it does not just elevate your life, It touches others. It might fund education, inspire creativity, provide opportunities, or build something that outlives you. That is why purpose is the secret to sustaining wealth. When you live with purpose, money becomes fuel for a vision that keeps expanding. You are no longer chasing after riches, you are channeling them towards something meaningful. And the more you direct wealth with purpose, the more it flows back to you, because abundance always multiplies in the soil of vision. Think about those who build empires that endure beyond their lifetime. They did not simply hoard money, they aligned it with a mission. Whether it was to serve, to create, to uplift, or to innovate, their wealth carried a reason larger than personal gain. This is why their abundance not only remained, but grew stronger with time. In contrast, those who pursued money for pleasure alone eventually lost it, because pleasure without purpose cannot sustain wealth. It drains resources without multiplying them. Purpose also brings discipline. When you know why you have money, you know how to use it. Without purpose, riches invite carelessness. With purpose, every dollar is guided, protected, and invested. You no longer ask, what can I buy? But, what can I build? What can I create? What can I contribute? That shift in perspective transforms wealth from a fleeting possession into a powerful force of influence. Abundance that flows with purpose also enriches the inner life. Money alone cannot give peace, joy, or fulfillment. Many have riches yet remain empty because they lack purpose. But when wealth is tied to what you believe in, when it serves your values and expresses your true calling, it nourishes your soul as well as your circumstances. It makes you feel alive because you are not just consuming, you are creating. You are not just holding wealth, you are directing it towards something eternal. The truth is, money without purpose will eventually slip away, no matter how much you gain. But money aligned with purpose becomes like a river that never runs dry. It flows, it refreshes, it gives life, and it continues its course. That is true abundance, not just having wealth, but using it in harmony with the reason you were given it. When you align money with purpose, you step into a flow where wealth no longer feels like a struggle, but like a natural expression of your vision. That is the kind of abundance that lasts, multiplies, and transforms lives. Sustaining wealth requires vision, discipline, and a deeper awareness of self, because money without guidance will always seek escape. Many people believe that the hardest part is acquiring wealth, but in reality, keeping it and allowing it to grow is the true challenge. Sudden gain can come by chance, inheritance, or even luck, but sustained wealth is never an accident. It is the fruit of intentional living, where vision directs, discipline protects, and self-awareness ensures that money serves rather than controls. Vision is the starting point. Without vision, wealth has no direction, no long-term purpose, and no foundation to build upon. Vision is the ability to see beyond today into tomorrow, to imagine a future that wealth can help bring to life. If your only vision is immediate comfort, wealth will vanish quickly. But if your vision extends to creation, contribution, and legacy, wealth takes on a deeper role. It becomes a builder, not just a spender. Vision gives money meaning, and meaning sustains abundance far longer than desire. When you can see a larger picture for your life, your family, or your community, you use your wealth differently, and it multiplies as it fulfills a greater goal. Yet vision alone is not enough. Discipline is the guardian of wealth. Many who lose fortunes do so not because they lacked opportunities, but because they lack discipline. Discipline restrains impulses, controls spending, and ensures that short-term pleasures do not destroy long-term stability. Without discipline, even the wealthiest person can crumble under the weight of poor decisions. Discipline teaches you to save, to invest, and to live within the framework of your vision. It reminds you that true abundance is not in the show of riches, but in the quiet power of stability and growth. Sustained wealth requires the patience to delay gratification, the wisdom to choose long-term gains over temporary thrills, and the strength to say no when unnecessary distractions call. Still, even with vision and discipline, the most important element is a deeper awareness of self. Many people think money defines them, but the truth is money only amplifies who they already are. If you are insecure, wealth will magnify insecurity. If you are greedy, wealth will magnify greed. But if you are grounded, wise, and aware of your true worth, wealth will magnify those qualities as well. Awareness of self ensures that money does not become your identity. It keeps you from seeking validation in possessions, and instead teaches you to see wealth as a tool, not a master. When you know yourself, you use money with clarity, directing it toward what truly matters, rather than being controlled by the illusions of status or fear of loss. Sustaining wealth, then, is not merely about strategies or investments, though they play a role. It is about building a life where vision keeps you moving forward, discipline keeps you grounded, and self-awareness keeps you centered. Without these, money slips away like sand through the fingers. With them, wealth becomes lasting, purposeful, and expansive. It grows not only in numbers, but in impact. The truth is, wealth is fragile when left in the hands of a person without inner structure. But when guided by vision, protected by discipline, and rooted in self-awareness, it becomes unshakable. You can weather challenges, resist temptations, and multiply what you have. Sustained wealth is never about luck. It is the product of who you are becoming. The stronger your vision, the deeper your discipline, and the clearer your awareness of self, the longer your wealth will last, and the greater your legacy will be. In conclusion, wealth is never just about money. It is about the consciousness that shapes it, the vision that directs it, and the discipline that sustains it. Sudden riches can appear, but without a renewed mind they vanish. The true power lies in how you imagine, how you align money with purpose, and how you allow it to serve a destiny greater than yourself. Wealth will always amplify who you already are, revealing the strength or weakness within. That is why the journey to abundance is not about chasing money, but about cultivating character, vision, and self-awareness. When these are in place, money ceases to be fleeting and becomes a river that carries you toward lasting impact and fulfillment. Remember, your mind is the true source of wealth. What you build within will always manifest without. Thank you for listening.